This is Paula MinGucci with River of Fire. I'm also leading a group called The Revelator, which we do ascension and teaching every single week. You can find out more information at the Ecclesia of the Most High.com. But right now we're going to do the River of Fire, and the Father has asked me to begin sharing some things on this platform. I have felt a burning desire to actually educate the body of Christ about what's coming. Many people don't realize what's happening and how it's connected to the book of Revelation. Now, I'm not going to go into the book of Revelation right now, but I will be sharing, I'm actually going to be reading two books, and the first book is called The Apocryphs of Elijah. And after that, I'm going to read another book called The Ascension of Isaiah. Now, these are books that were found. There's information you could probably look up about this, but it's been translated. It's actually fragments that were among, particular scrolls. And anyway, having this book for a while now, reading through it, it's incredibly interesting because it talks about the end times. And not many people know about this, but this is incredibly interesting. So I'd like to start with the Apocalypse of Elijah. And it starts out saying, "The word of the Lord came to me saying, Son of man, say to this people, why do you pile sin upon sin and provoke the Lord who has made you to wrath?" One thing interesting about this book is that it's so is pointing to what's happening today. So it continues. I'll try not to interrupt. Why do you pile sin upon sin and provoke the Lord who has made you to wrath? Love not the world, nor the things in the world, for the boastfulness of the world is of the devil, and its destruction. Remember that the Lord of glory, who has made all things, has taken pity on you to deliver us from the slavery of this present age. From time and time again, the devil has desired to stop the sun from shining on the earth and stop the earth from bearing its fruit, and wanted to devour men like the fire that runs among the stubble, wanting to devour them like water. That is why the God of glory took pity on us. He sent his Son unto the world to deliver us from our slavery. When he came to us, he told neither angel nor archangel nor any power, but he assumed the form of a man when he came to us to save us. For this reason you will be sons, be his sons, since he is your Father. Remember, he has prepared for you thrones and crowns in heaven, saying, all who obey me shall receive thrones and crowns from what is mine, said the Lord. For I will write my name upon their forehead and seal their right hand. They shall neither hunger, nor shall they thirst, nor shall the son of lawlessness have his way with them. Nor shall thrones hinder them, but they shall walk with angels to my city. But sinners shall be put to shame. They shall not pass beyond the thrones, but the thrones of death will hold them back and rule over them. Because the angels do not acknowledge them, and they have become strangers to God's dwelling places. Listen, wise men of the earth, and be on your guard against the deceivers, of whom there will be many at the end of time. For they will have doctrines that are not of God. They will reject the law of God, men who have made their belly their God, saying, fasting has no substance, and God did not create it. They make themselves strangers to the covenant of God and rob themselves of the glorious promises. Such men are never established in firm faith. So do not let them lead you astray. Remember that the Lord created fasting when he made the heavens, for men's profit, because of the passion and desires that are at war with you, so that the evil one may not burn you up. But I have created a pure fasting, says the Lord. The man who fasts always will not sin through jealousy or strife. Let the man who is pure fast. But the man who fasts and is not pure provokes the Lord and the angels also, and he harms his own soul, laying up for himself a store of retribution for the day of retribution. But I have created a pure fasting with a pure heart and pure hands. It forgives sins, it heals diseases, it drives out demons, it is efficacious at the throne of God, like a sweetener, like a fragrance for the forgiveness of sins by pure prayer. What respectable workman among you will go out into the fields without his tools? Or who will go out to fight in a war without a breastplate? Will he not be killed if he is found because he has despised the king's service? So too, it is impossible for anybody to come to the holy place in doubt. The man doubts his prayer is, and it says in himself, meaning there's possible parts of that manuscript that were missing, or perhaps they were decayed. Okay, his prayer is in himself. Neither do the angels acknowledge him. But then of one mind always is in the Lord, always in the Lord, so that you may be able to interpret all things. Okay, but as for the Assyrian kings and the destruction of the heavens and the earth, the things under the earth, from now on they shall not prevail over those who are mine. So it's also mentioning Persia, which is Iran. Okay, and I'm going to look up Assyrian. It's okay, so it's Turkey. Assyrian has located northern part of Mesopotamia, which corresponds to most parts of modern-day Iraq, as well as parts of Iran, Kuwait, Syria, and Turkey. So when he's talking about the Assyrian kings, that's who he is speaking about. But as for the Assyrian kings and the destruction of the heaven and the earth and the things under the earth, from now on they shall not prevail over those who are mine, says the Lord. And those who are mine shall not be afraid in the war. When they see a king appearing in the north, they will call him the Assyrian king and the king of unrighteousness. He will make endless wars on Egypt and be the cause of many disturbances. There will be groaning throughout the land, for your children will be carried away. Many will seek death in those days, but death will elude them. So that's in the book of Revelation. And we know, just in case you don't know, if you are taking the mark at that time, that you're going to be forced to take a mark where you can't buy or sell without this mark. and it'll also carry all this other information. It will make it impossible for you to die because you are going to be connected to to technology and artificial intelligence. So I'm going to read this again. He will make endless wars on Egypt and be the cause of many disturbances. There will be groaning throughout the land, for your children will be carried away. Many will seek death in those days, but death will elude them. And the king will arise in the lands of the west, who will be called the King of Peace. He will run upon the sea like a roaring lion, and he will kill the king of unrighteousness. He will take vengeance on Egypt with much fighting and bloodshed. And it will come to pass in those days that the orders peace from Egypt and an empty gift. He will give peace to the saints, saying, the name of God is one. He will do honor to the priests of God and exalt the places of the saints. He will give empty gifts to the house of God. He will wander about in the cities of Egypt in secret without their knowledge. He will count the holy places. He will weigh the idols of the Gentiles. He will count their riches. He will set up priests for them. He will order wise men of the land and the great men of the people to be arrested and taken to the metropolis that is by the sea, saying, there is but one single language. And when you hear there's peace and joy, behold, I will tell you what is distinctive about him, so that you can recognize him. So I know that's a lot to take in, but just basically setting up this beast system, we can see that he's trying to incorporate, we know as a fact that the Pope is putting together the Jewish community and the Muslims and the Christians. So he's trying to manipulate and bring these things together. That's why they call him the King of Peace in this book. And they're going to try to set up a one world religion. So there is peace and joy. Behold, I will tell you what is distinctive about him, so that you can recognize him. For he has two sons, one on his right and one on his left. Now, there was a prophet recently that saw the Antichrist standing there, and with two men, one on his right, one on his left. And one was that Noah person from who is a Jewish man who is talking about connecting everyone. He doesn't believe in God. He speaks a lot of things about technology, One World Economic Forum. Then you have the Pope on the other side, he saw, with the Antichrist in the middle. For he has two sons, one on his right, one on his left. Now the one on his right will look like a devil, and he will defy the name of God. The four kings come from that king. But in his 13th year, he will come down to Memphis, and he will build a temple in Memphis then. His own son will rise up against him and kill him. The whole land will be in turmoil on that day. He will issue an edict throughout the whole land that the priests of the land and all the saints be arrested. Now, we can kind of glean things from this and pray into them and ask Holy Spirit more about this. But this is my impression as soon as I read it. What's interesting, it says he will rise up against him and kill him, one of his own sons. Now, if he's talking about spiritual sons, the Pope, and which I believe is connected to the Babylonian system, is hated. And some people say that America is Babylon, but It could very well be a picture of Babylon, but I believe the Babylon in Revelation has to do with the unification of all the digital income and the beast system, and that's a Babylon system because that you can't buy or sell without it. And those who are going to take the mark will not be saved. So there is a hatred for this particular person according to the book of Revelation. The whole land will be in turmoil. In that day, he will issue an edict throughout the whole land that the priests of the land and all the saints be arrested. And that's in the book of Revelation. All the gifts and all the good things my Father gave you, you shall give back twice over. He will shut up the holy places. He will take away their houses. He will make captives of their children. And we see some of that now, children being taken from parents. He will give orders that they offer sacrifices, which are abomination, and bring deep distress upon the land. He will appear beneath the sun and the moon on that day. The priests of the land will rend their garments. Of course, this is Israel. Woe to you, rulers of Egypt, in those days. Your day has passed. The violence done to the poor will rebound on you, and your children will be carried off as spoil. The cities of Egypt will groan in those days, and they will not hear the voice of the seller nor the voice of the buyer. The marketplaces of the cities of Egypt will gather dust. Those in Egypt will weep together. They will seek death, but death will elude them and pass them by. It's interesting. The Prince of Saudi Arabia is being highlighted by some people as part of this. In those days, they will run up onto the rocks and jump off, saying, "Fall down upon us," and still they will not die. I can't believe this is speaking about this many times, which again is in the book of Revelation. 2 further afflictions will come upon the whole land in those days. The king will give orders that all women with children at the breast be arrested and brought before him bound. And this says they suckle dragons, and that their blood be squeezed out of their breasts, and that it be used as poison for arrows. Because of the need for soldiers for the war, he will also order that all children of 12 and under be taken and made to learn how to shoot with bow and arrow. Of course, depending on when this was written, God never goes and shows them what the warfare really looks like, at least in the natural. Every midwife in the land will mourn, and the woman who has children will raise her eyes to heaven, saying, "Why ever did I sit on a birthing stool to bring children into the world?" It reminds me of how Jesus said, "Woe to you have children in that day." The childless and the virgin will rejoice. Now is the time for us to rejoice, because we have no children upon the earth, or our children are in the heavens. So they've either passed away or they were raptured. In those days, 3 kings will arise among the Persians, which is Iran, and will take the Jews that are in Egypt and transport them to Jerusalem, and they will inhabit it and dwell there. Then, if you hear safety is in Jerusalem, then rend your garments, you priests of the land, for the coming of the son of perdition will not long be delayed, the lawless one who will appear in those days in the holy places. Now that is the actual Antichrist. The kings of the Persians will flee in those days to Hereth. It's Herearit. Never heard of that. And the Assyrian kings. 4 kings will fight with 3. They will spend 3 years in the place until they lay their hands upon the rich of the temple there. And those days, blood will flow from Kos, that's Kos, to Memphis. The river of Egypt will turn into blood. That's in Revelation, turning the river into blood, and no one will be able to drink from it for 3 days. Woe to Egypt and those who live there. In those days, a king will appear in the city called the City of the Sun, and the whole land will be in turmoil. He will hurry up to Memphis in the 6th year of the Persian kings. He will start a rebellion in Memphis. He will kill the Assyrian kings, and the Persians will wreak vengeance on the land. He will order the slaughter of all the Gentiles and the lawless. He will order the temples of the Gentiles to be plundered and their priests destroyed. He will order the temples of the saints to be rebuilt. Re is in parentheses. And he will give double gifts to the house of God. He will say, the name of God is one. The whole land will worship the Persians, Iran, and the remnant which has survived on the onslaught will say, the Lord has sent us a righteous king so that the land might not become a desert. He will command not to give any king for 3 years and 6 months. The land will be full of good things in great abundance. The living will turn towards the dead and say, rise up and share with us this life of peace. In the 4th year of that king, the son of lawlessness will appear, saying, I am the Christ, though he is not. Do not believe him. When the Christ comes, he will come encircled by angels, like a flock of doves circling around their dovecote. He will walk on the clouds of heaven, and the sign of the cross preceding him. The whole world will see him, like the sun that shines from the eastern regions to the western. Thus will he come, and all his angels around him. The son of lawlessness will also try to stand in the holy places. He will say to the sun, fall, S-U-N, fall, and it will fall. He will say, shine, and it will. He will say, be darkened, and it will. He will say to the moon, turn into blood, and it will. If you remember, it says that he will be doing great wonders or miracles to the point that the righteous could even be deceived if possible. Okay, it will turn into blood, and he will go with them through the sky. He will walk upon the sea and on the rivers as if on dry land. He will make the lame walk. I read somewhere else that he will do every single miracle. It might be in this next book, or maybe in the one I'm reading. He'll do every miracle that Jesus did, except he will not be able to raise the dead. He will make the lame walk. He will make the deaf hear. He will make the dumb speak. He will make the blind see. He will make the lepers clean. He will heal the sick, and he will cast out demons from those possessed by them. He will do many signs and wonders in the sight of everyone. He will do everything that Christ will do. Here it is, except only the raising of the dead. By this you will know that he is the son of lawlessness, for he has no power over the soul. Behold, I will tell you what his distinguishing features are, so that you may be able to recognize him. He is a spare, weedy man, tall, thin-legged, with a patch of gray hair at the front of his head, but otherwise bald. Sounds like that guy Noah, but I don't know. With his eyebrows reaching to his ears. I know sounds weird. It could be the translation, just to be aware that this is translated. But otherwise bald, but his eyebrows reaching to his ears, and with leprous sores on the tips of his fingers. He will transform himself in front of those who look at him. He will transform himself in front of those who look at him. He will become a child. He will become an old man. He will transform all of his features, but what distinguishes his head cannot be changed. By this you may be certain that he is the son of lawlessness. The virgin whose name is Tabitha will hear that the shameless one has appeared in the holy places, and she will put on her linen garment and pursue him up to Judea. And she will reproach him all the way to Jerusalem, crying out, O shameless one, O son of lawlessness, O you who have been an enemy of all the saints. Then the shameless one will turn in fury upon the virgin. He will pursue her to the west. I know this is kind of disgusting, but he will suck her blood at the eventide and throw it on the temple, and it will become the salvation of the people. She will arise in the morning alive and reproach him, saying, Shameless one, you have no power over my soul, nor over my body, for I live in the Lord always. And she will also say, My blood you have thrown on the temple has become the salvation of the people. Now, I don't understand this, but maybe you can ask the Father to bring revelation on it. Except that maybe she will wake up people and show that this person is lawless and ungodly, and maybe they put their trust in him and they woke up. Could very well be that. Then when Elijah and Enoch hear that the shameless one has appeared in the holy place, they will come down to fight against him. And I always thought it was Elijah and Enoch who will be the witnesses. They will come down to fight against him, saying, Are you then not ashamed to cling to the saints, for you are a stranger always? You have been an enemy of what is in heaven and what is on earth. You have been an enemy of the thrones and of the angels. You are a stranger always. You fell from heaven like the morning stars. You abandoned your proper home. You were alienated from your tribe. Are you then not ashamed to cling to God, for you are a devil? Isn't it interesting? It says, aren't you ashamed to cling to God? And aren't you ashamed to cling to the saints? It reminds me so much of some of these books that talk about Solomon, and it sounds like these beautiful prayers are in these books, yet they're 100% witchcraft. They're witchcraft books, and they can come from the Freemasonry. So it's very interesting how that sounds just like that. Because if you just read the prayer, you'd be like, well, that's really an awesome prayer to God. Yet they use it in witchcraft. The shameless one will hear it and be furious, and he will fight with them in the marketplace of the great city. And he will spend 7 days fighting with them. So obviously his deception is that he's speaking about God and doing miracles. And they will lie dead in the marketplace for 3.5 days. And all the people will see them. But on the 4th day, they will arise and reproach him, saying, O shameless one, O son of lawlessness, are you then not ashamed to lead astray the people of God, for whom you have not suffered? And again, this is in the Word of God where the two witnesses will die, be killed, and they will be happy and give gifts to one another until they come back to life. Are you then not ashamed to lead astray the people of God for whom you have not suffered? Do you not know that we live in the Lord, so that we can reproach you continually when you say, over these have I prevailed? We will lay aside the flesh of the body and kill you, since you will have no power to speak on that day. For we are strong in the Lord always, but you are ever an enemy of God. O shameless one will hear it. The shameless one will hear it and be furious and fight with them, and the whole city will be gathered around them. On that day, they will shout aloud to heaven, shining like the stars, and all the people in the whole world will see them. The son of lawlessness will not prevail over them. He will vent his fury on the land and set himself to sin against the people. He will hunt down all the saints, and they will be brought to him as prisoners with the priests of the land. Now, this also sounds like a Revelations 12, where the dragon will turn and make war with the rest of his offspring, her offspring, the church. So again, it says, he will hunt down all the saints, and they will be brought to him as prisoners with the priests of the land. He will kill them and destroy them, and their eyes will be put out with iron spikes. He will peel off their skins from their heads. He will pull out their nails one by one. Now, if this is the wrath of God, or the time of the wrath of God, this is incredible. You don't want to be left behind. Hopefully the Lord will take saints home before then, but this is a great torture. He will order vinegar and lye to be put in their noses. Oof. They who are unable to endure the tortures of that king will take their money and flee on ferries and desert places. When they die, they will be like men asleep. The Lord will receive to himself their spirits and their souls. Their flesh will be as permanent as a rock. No wild beasts shall eat them until the last day of the great judgment. Then will they arise up and find a place of rest, but they will not share in the kingdom of Christ like those who have endured. Wow. For the Lord said, I will grant them to sit on my right hand. They will obtain grace for others. They will be victorious over the son of lawlessness. They will see the destruction of heaven and earth. They will obtain the thrones of glory and crowns. And the crowns, 60 righteous will be chosen in those days, who are prepared. They will arm themselves with the breastplate of God and run to Jerusalem and fight with the shameless one, saying, all of the mighty works which the prophets did from the beginning you have done. But you could not raise the dead, for you have no power over the soul. But this we have recognized, that you are the son of lawlessness. He will hear it and be furious, and order fires to be lit on altars, and the righteous to be bound and put on them and burned. And on that day, many will change their minds and desert him, saying, this is not the Christ. The Christ does not kill the righteous. He does not pursue honest men. Does he not rather seek to persuade them by signs and wonders? In those days, the Christ will take pity on his own. He will send his angels from heaven and number 604,000. Each one of them having 6 wings. Their voice will shake heaven and earth as they bless and glorify their Lord. Those upon whose forehead the name of Christ is written, and upon whose hand is the seal, both small and great, will set upon their wings and protect them from his wrath. Then will Gabriel and Uriel be a pillar of light to lead them into the Holy Land, and they will give them the right to eat from the tree of life, and to wear white garments, and to be guarded by angels. They shall not thirst, nor shall the son of lawlessness have power over them. But on that day the land will be in turmoil, and the sun be darkened. Peace and the spirit will be removed from the earth. The trees will be uprooted and fall. The wild beasts and the cattle will die in confusion. The birds will fall dead upon the ground. The earth will be dry, and the waters of the sea will be dried up. The sinners on the earth will groan, saying, "What have you done to us, son of lawlessness, by saying, I am the Christ, though you are a devil? You have no power to save yourself. How can you save us? You have performed signs before us and estranged us from the Christ who made us. Woe to us that we have listened to you. Behold, now we shall die of famine. Where now is there the vestige of a righteous man that we may reverence him? For where is there a teacher that we can appeal to him? Now we shall perish in the day of wrath. For we have disobeyed God. We went to the deep places in the sea, but we found no water. We dug the rivers in a depth of 16 cubits, but we found no water. Then will the shameless one weep on that day, saying, Woe is me, that my time has passed me by. I said my time would not pass me by. My years have become months. My days have vanished like dust driven by the wind. Now I shall perish with you. Run out, therefore, into the desert. Lay hands upon the brigands and kill them. Bring the saints up. For it is because of them that the earth bears fruit. For it is because of them that the sun shines upon the earth. For it is because of them that the dew comes down on the earth. The sinners will weep, saying, You have made us enemies of God. You can get up and pursue them. Sounds like the day of wrath, and those people who are left behind after the rapture could be. Then will he spread his fiery his fiery wings, and fly forth after the saints. He will fight with them again. The angels will hear of it, and they will come down and fight with him in a war with many swords. On that day, the Lord will hear and order the heaven and the earth in great anger to send forth fire. The fire will overwhelm the earth to an extent of 72 cubits. It will devour the sinners and the devils like stubble. A righteous judgment will there be on that day. The mountains of the earth will give tongue. The paths will speak with one another. Did you hear today the sound of a man walking who did not come to the judgment of the Son of God? The sins of each will stand against him in the place where they were committed. Those committed in that day, as well as those committed in the night, the righteous and the ... The piece of that was missing. Will see the sinners and their punishments, but those who have persecuted them and those who have handed them over to death, then the sinners, again, there's a piece of this missing, will see the place of the righteous, and thus will they be favored. In those days, what the righteous ask for many times will be given them. On that day will the Lord judge heaven and earth. He will judge those who have transgressed in heaven and those who have done the same on earth. He will judge the shepherds of the people. He will ask them about the sheep, and they will be given him unencumbered by wickedness and lies. Then will Elijah and Enoch descend. They will lay aside their worldly flesh and take on spiritual flesh. They will pursue the son of lawlessness and kill him without his being able to speak. On that day he will melt before them like a ice melted by fire. He will perish like a dragon that has no breath. He will be told, your time has passed you by. Now you are to perish together with those who believe in you. They will be flung into the pit of abyss, and it will be shut over them. On that day, the Christ, the King, with all the saints, will come from heaven. He will burn the earth and spend 1,000 years upon it, for the sinners will take possession of it. He will make a new heaven. Sorry, let me stop there. He will burn the earth and spend 1,000 years upon it, for the sinners had taken possession of it. He will make a new heaven and a new earth. No devil will be in them. He will reign with the saints, going up and down. They will be with the angels always, and with the Christ 1,000 years. And that is the end of the Apocalypse of Elijah. Thank you for listening.
Your presence all around, all things are made new now. Can't nothing hold me down, 'cause your love has set me free. That grace and truth abound, all things work for good now. Can't nothing hold me down, 'cause your love has set me free.